Well, hello again. Now, I'm the last man here inside the Vitality Stadium, and if I'm locked in overnight, well, so be it. I could probably still be talking about that game tomorrow morning. Now, who am I to play the role of manager? That's where Eddie Howe was sat just behind me today. But during the course of this video, I am going to tell Eddie who he should start for the next game, the changes he needs to make. In fact, why delay? Let's get to it now. And it was the substitutions which changed that game for Newcastle United. Without those players coming on, I think we're here now reflecting on a defeat. I also think we're probably reflecting on a Newcastle defeat if VAR didn't intervene when it perhaps shouldn't have done for the late Bournemouth goal there. We'll come to that in just a moment. I've just spent 20 minutes talking to the Bournemouth manager about it. I want a little bit of a break. I'm going to talk about Newcastle now. And the changes, the substitutions, two players who came on, Kieran Trippier and Harvey in the 58th minute, and immediately there was an improvement in Newcastle. Okay, they actually then came off it again, but I don't think without those players, Newcastle come away with anything here. Now, it was Jacob Murphy and Tino Livramento who came off, and by bringing on two players for me who have got better pedigree, better quality, that shows what Eddie needs to do going forward, going into Tottenham next weekend, because, again, that performance there, it wasn't good. You know, let's pick over it. They started okay. They started well for 15 minutes. I thought they were very good. They were on the front foot. Bruno Guimaraes didn't seem to have gone up one level on last week in terms of that fitness and the ability to get around. He'd gone up two levels all of a sudden. You thought, wow, this is the Brazilian at his best there. I thought he ran the game for the opening quarter of an hour. Alexander Isak was incredibly dangerous playing on the shoulder of Bournemouth's defenders. You know, they were terrified of him, and you thought, this could be a good day for Newcastle here. They're actually going to, put that opening weekend behind them, not in terms of the result. I mean, in terms of, the sticky-ish performance, and, for another week on the training pitch, in terms of that cohesion, that shape, that understanding, that condition, they're going to come here and they're going to show themselves, as when you look at the team sheet, they should do. They've got better players than Bournemouth. After 15 minutes, you think, yeah, they've started well here, but it always in the back of your mind, you've got that niggling doubt. They're going to have to score a goal. They're going to have to do something. And the end product was missing, be that from Isak when he got into good positions. I don't want to criticise him too much because it was more so others that were probably missing that class and that quality, and that's something we're going to come on to. But no, the 15 minutes expires and then the game changes. And all of a sudden, Newcastle, they run out of steam. They run out of ideas and they revert to the side that we saw during the opening half hour before the red card against Southampton a week ago, and Bournemouth are on top. And I tweeted it at the time, the opening goal was coming. Newcastle retreated, and it was quite a marked difference from the energy and the purposefulness, that's a word, it is, with which they had started the game. Bournemouth score, it's Joe Linton now. Joe Linton's error, it's just over my shoulder there. He loses the ball to Antoine Semenyo, who I thought was the best player on the park. We'll come on to right wing, as Newcastle could probably do with one like Semenyo. He's the best player on the park, I think, even over the course of the full game. He robs Joe Linton. Now, that error was coming. Joe Linton had made mistakes before that. He'd actually allowed, just there, he'd allowed Semenyo about 5 or 6 minutes earlier to walk by him and crack the crossbar from about 25 yards. There was something strangely out of sorts with Joe Linton. I don't know if you guys below the line can give me some ideas as to why that might have been, but from a lie-in last week to alarm this, he just seemed miles off. Be it with the ball, he was clumsy. Without the ball, he didn't have that aggression and that endeavour about him. It was just strange, bizarre. Listen, we're going to have to put it down to a one-off because he cannot continue like that. So Joe Linton loses the ball. Semenyo drives it in the area, puts it far post. Tino Livramento is sleeping. He is. And Marcus Tavernier gets in, and it's 1-0. And from that point, I don't think there's really a response from Newcastle. Then going into half-time, Newcastle haven't had more of the ball, but not having done a great deal with it. Bournemouth thought deservedly in front. They then come out for the second half, and yeah, it's much the same, really. Slight improvement, maybe, but not enough. And it's not until on the 58th minute, from that dugout behind me there, emerged Barnes and Trippier. And immediately, Newcastle looked better. They looked more sure of themselves. They had experience I'm going to talk about Trippier here first of all. In the form of Trippier, they had class, they had experience, they had a calmness, and we were sat just in the press box there, and he's on the right flank there, great view. He's only 15, 20 yards away from me. You can see him communicating with teammates and just calming them down and just bringing a a quality and a surety that was previously missing. And we've spoken this week in the previous video I did on Friday. It was all about why Newcastle need to keep him at the club. Wow, we saw there during the final half hour, they cannot let him go. Not just is he important, to the squad and to the depth of the squad and everything off the pitch. They need him on the pitch, in the starting 11, at right back every week. What they should be telling him now is you're not going anywhere and you're starting against Tottenham on Sunday. Tell you what, you're starting the game after that and the game after that as well. Just there, he's too good. Is he the best right back I've seen in my time covering Newcastle, my time watching Newcastle? I certainly can't think of a better one. Trippier there showed just why. Wow, what a timely reminder is to his importance to this team and to the manager and to the club. But I thought Barnes probably had the even greater impact. It's his cross for the goal. Now, Barnes, I reported this week in my Inside Newcastle column on Thursday at Mail Sport how Barnes was furious not to be involved last week. The description I got went as far as that. I think he thought he'd had a very good pre-season. He'd started 5 out of the 6 games. Anthony Gordon had come back late from the Euros. Harvey Barnes had expected to start, and probably with some justification, especially given his injury nightmare of last year. And he thought this was a chance to generate momentum and hit the ground running. He was denied that last weekend, and he was denied that again there today. But yeah, I use that word again. Wow. When he came on, out of the 2 wingers who had previously been on the park, he replaced Jacob Murphy. Anthony Gordon at that point had done close to nothing. Another slightly worrying performance, even though he's then come good at the end. We'll come to that. Still, on the whole, somewhere short of his best. Is it just a case of the Euros hangover, or does he really want that move away from the club, as has been, mooted to a degree? We'll have to wait and see on that front. I really need to, we do need to get to the bottom of that this week, because there are concerns there over Gordon. Nonetheless, Harvey Barnes comes on, and all of a sudden, Newcastle have got more purpose and more incision. He puts 2 or 3 balls into the box. He has a shot himself, which whistles just wide. And Newcastle have got a threat from wide areas all of a sudden. And it's no surprise when Barnes over there where the tractor is, he motors down that left, works a yard for the cross and just puts it into that area, which is an absolute nightmare for defenders between them and the goalkeeper. It was a dream for Anthony Gordon. He stole in and stabbed it in there. That's 1-1. And Harvey Barnes for me now, and this is a question I asked of Eddie Howe afterwards. I said, your improvement came about and the team were clearly better with Anthony Gordon on the right and Harvey Barnes on the left. Is that something you will explore going forward? Expecting Eddie to take the bait and say, we'll look at it, and you make a good point, Craig. But he didn't really, if anything, and we spoke about this amongst ourselves after the answer, he kind of shut it down, really. Said it was all about, the balance and making the right decisions for the team and sending out players comfortable to impact in the positions from the off. Now, that to me was more or less saying Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon both want to start on the left wing. So at the moment, only one of them will start on the left wing, and that then leaves a hole on the right. And I like Jacob Murphy. I've spoken a lot about him. I thought he deservedly started the team in the season, season in the team rather. But Jacob Murphy having a brilliant pre-season, which he did do, had that perhaps, is there a certain danger to that, in that it's suggested that Newcastle do not need to strengthen the right wing, that Murphy and Almiron between them can manage that position? Well, if so, no for me, because the right wing is arguably of more importance. An argument to be made, it's of more importance than the centre half. Certainly during the opening hour there, I was saying to my colleagues in the press box, forget Mark Guy, go and put the £70 million on a right winger, bring Semenyo back to the northeast with you. Harvey Barnes then comes on and sort of changes my thinking with regards to that, which leads me to ask the question of Eddie Howe. Put your 2 best wingers in the team, find a way to accommodate them. It doesn't seem likely he's going to do that. I think he should. I think Barnes now, you cannot take him out the side after that, and likewise Kieran Trippier too. So those 2 come on, coupled with as well, this worked once before when I tried it, swung it round, coupled with coming from the bench there behind me, I've done it again, Lewis Hall and Joe Willock. Lewis Hall very neat on the ball, having been quite wasteful last week, I thought, in terms of possession. I think he lost the ball 16 times. The stats recorded against Southampton. Thought he was good on the ball there, calmed things down, offered a little bit of composure. Joe Willock offered that drive, that running power from midfield that Joe Linton just wasn't really providing. And those changes between all of them saw Newcastle get themselves in a point whereby it was 1-1. But then there's a 10-minute spell where it's just, I'm doing my report up there and I'm thinking I'm going to have to change this from a defeat to a draw to a victory. You're thinking Newcastle are going to go and win it. Dan Burn has the header from close range. Joe Linton has a shoulder from close range. Wow, that just almost captured his afternoon, sadly. Bruno Guimaraes then the 90th minute puts one towards the top corner. The keeper Neto makes a flying save there. And you think that's perhaps the sort of the expiry of all the drama, of all the anxiety for both managers. You know, again, great view that even before what unfolded in stoppage time, both managers going through the ringer. I don't know, what does ringer mean anyway? They're going through the ringer. I don't know what it means, but yeah, that's what they were going through. And then it hadn't even really begun, the stress. 93rd minute, Lewis Cook puts the corner in, and Outara, the substitute, he turns in. Now, I've no idea from the press box, and it's 60, 70 yards away, what part of his body he's turned it in with, but I certainly didn't think it was a handball. Eddie Howe just admitted to us he didn't think it was a handball either. You know, Newcastle's players who had a better view than any of us, none of them complained. Then the VAR review goes up, and yeah, we look at the replays on the screen. And now, please give me your thoughts below the line in the comments section. I haven't seen a replay. And my understanding is, and I've spoken to Mark Clattenburg about this for Mail Sport tomorrow, my understanding is it's below the sleeve. Wearing long sleeves doesn't help. Below the sleeve is where, you know, you can't score with. Now, for me, I still think it looks like the ball has struck him on the badge, almost, you know, the upper arm, his shoulder. I cannot understand now, having seen the replay, why VAR deemed it to be a factual handball and a clear and obvious error. I think Bournemouth have been harshly done to them. We've just spoken to, like I said, Andoni Iraola for the best part of 20 minutes, all about that, and he was repeatedly jabbing his arm by way of illustration. I thought he was just going to be done with it and punch himself in the face in the end. So frustrated was he. But no, it's, yeah, Newcastle probably got away with one there. It was one of those games where they were fortunate to draw, yet unlucky not to win, given, you know, that period of dominance there between sort of 80 minutes and 90 minutes. So in the end, was a draw a fair result? A draw was my prediction in the WhatsApp voice note which I left before the game. Well, yeah, it probably was, but on the whole, I would say that was a performance about which there was more to be concerned and encouraged, even though they have, you know, as Eddie said afterwards, they've shown those battling qualities to come back from that massive dip. And it's just little things which just don't seem to be clicking. Like, okay, throw-ins, like, when did Newcastle become pretty bad at throw-ins? You know, again, I go back to the view you've got in the press box, and they're taking them down there below, and you get a real sense, a real flavour of just a lack of movement at times, a lack of options, things which you always assumed and took for granted that Newcastle would be absolutely tight on and, you know, drilled on repeatedly, and probably they are, I don't know, but there's just something missing there at the moment in the team, that spark, that energy, those ideas. So it does leave Eddie much to work on going into next weekend against, you know, a Spurs side who have started the season well. No, they looked very good yesterday, albeit against Everton. Now, what else did he say afterwards? I asked him, will you be a happy man in a week's time when the deadline closes? To which he said, you know, I'm always happy. You might not be happy if no players come in. My information, you know, as recently as today, is that if Newcastle cannot get the players they want, they won't throw money at players they don't want. Now, Mark Guy, the pursuit of him remains. I still do expect the deal to happen. Now, on my flight down this morning, I was being asked on the runway by a group of fans, do I think Guy's going to happen? Now, behind me in the queue was Paul Mitchell. I said, listen, you know, forget about me, guys. Catch up with Mitchell, ask him, he's the one who knows. And yet come and tell me the answer when you do ask him. But no, they didn't do that. Paul Mitchell was genuinely on my flight. I asked Eddie Howe afterwards, had he spoken to him today? He said he hadn't. I said, are you confident you're going to have what you want come Friday night? He said, well, that's a difficult question to answer. It's out of his hands. He's made it clear that he wants to add to the group, the need to add to the group, but it's about making the right decision for the short-term and long-term benefit of the club. Now, I think, based on what we've seen so far this season with Guy, and going back to what I saw in the Euros in Germany covering England, I do think they're overpaying now. You know, I won't shy away from that as much as I think the player is a good player. I do think the deal has already got too expensive, and if they're talking about the long-term health of the football club, they've got to have a serious think about that. Now, belatedly, guys, the merit stars, I normally slip these in when I'm doing the match review, but no, I thought I'd keep you waiting. I know how much you love them. But no, in ascending order. Okay, 1 star, well, that goes to Alexander Isak. Now, I thought out of the starters, Isak was perhaps the best. Nick Pope made a couple of important saves there towards the end, but Isak was the one who threatened, who was dangerous, who had that little burst of imagination, acceleration, invention, almost to make things happen on his own at times with some of the little skills down there in the second half. So Isak gets the 1 star. 2 stars, well, that's going to go to Kieran Trippier. you know, only on the pitch for half an hour, but I just thought everything I've spoken about previously in terms of that class and that pedigree that he brought, he gets the 2 stars. And the 3, well, I think you can probably tell where this is going based on what I've mentioned already. Harvey Barnes. Yeah, Harvey Barnes, a player whose previous season, first season at the club, was absolutely ruined by injury. Give him a go, Eddie. Let him go, you know. When Newcastle signed him last summer, I didn't necessarily think they needed him, but then you think, well, how can you not need what is a very good player? And I've said it before, when I was banned by Steve Bruce, I was sent to Leicester. Yeah, when I couldn't get in the stadium during COVID, I saw a lot of Harvey Barnes during that period. I think he's very good. I do think he is a fantastic player who will, these numbers suggest he will return goals and assists. And right now, Newcastle in that final third, they need to sharpen that threat. And I think Harvey Barnes will provide that. Well, that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much again for watching. I told you there was a lot to unpick from that one. Please hit like, subscribe. There's the thanks button now as well. And comment again, you know, below the line. Please, I'll try to get through as many as possible and reply with my thoughts over the course of the next 24, 48 hours. Also in the description below, the link through to my match ratings from today's game. One player scored as low as a 4. Maybe you can guess who that was based on my previous comments. But no, one last little scan of this place. Quite a quaint little ground. Yeah, small, but certainly generated a lot of noise there this afternoon, especially in the 93rd minute. For some reason, yeah, the injustice of the home supporters for me, I think was just about justified as well. Okay, guys, I've gone on long enough now. Take care. If you are travelling back up, have a safe journey, and I'll see you again as soon as Tuesday ahead of the trip down to Nottingham Forest and the return of a certain Sandro Tonali. Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye.